Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Who was the Hellraiser? Well, I guess they all were. David Crosby certainly was. Neil Young certainly is. Stephen Stills, not so much. Graham Nash, But Neil Young is back in the news. God, Neil Young, he's, I don't know, he's got to be close to 80, isn't he? Bless his heart. Anyway, Neil Young has made it known that his music shall be removed from Spotify unless Spotify, the streaming service that carries Joe Rogan's program. I've heard his name mentioned. I haven't heard him. I'm serious. I haven't heard him. But I understand he's a real Nazi fuck, this Joe Rogan. And Neil Young is accusing this Nazi, who has a program called The Joe Rogan Experience, of spreading lies and bullshit regarding COVID-19 and vaccines. Another one. What motivates people to be like that? That's what I can't figure. I simply cannot figure out. Of all the things these right-wing assholes could attack, why go after a plan to stop a pandemic? I mean, honest to God, I don't understand. What is it about getting vaccinated that agitates these right-wing assholes to start like Kennedy Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr.? That fucker's gone completely off the rails. But I mean, what is it? What is it? The government has not said, line up and get your shot. The government has not said, line up and get your mask on. In the areas where there are mask mandates, those usually come from local authorities, not state authorities, local authorities who are trying to stop the spread of a disease. What is it? Maybe Joe Rogan will be the next one to drop fucking dead because of his advocacy if people don't pay any attention to this pandemic, like so many of these right-wing assholes in media have done. They just keep dropping like flies. Well, maybe Rogan will be next. Anyway, back to Neil Young. He posted an open letter on his website Monday night, I think. And apparently it's been deleted. But what he wrote is addressed to his management team at Lookout Management and Warner Brothers, because they handle, his, I guess that's the label he records for. Neil Young's open letter reads as follows, quote, please immediately inform Spotify that I'm actively canceling all my music availability on Spotify as soon as possible. I'm doing this because Spotify is spreading false information about vaccines, potentially causing death to those who believe the disinformation being spread by them. Please act on this immediately today and keep me informed of the time schedule. I want you to let Spotify know immediately today that I want all of my music off their platform. They can have Rogan or Young, not both. End quote. Now, as of, I think, what's today, Wednesday? I think as of Tuesday, Neil Young's music was still available or accessible on Spotify. And some public health officials have asked the Spotify streaming service to take action against this Joe Rogan fuck, this monstrous asshole, accusing him of possessing, quote, a concerning history of broadcast misinformation, particularly regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. That was a statement issued by public health officials. I mean, when a jack-off right-wing blabbermouth like this Joe Rogan has to be addressed by a musician and public health officials, like, what the fuck are you doing? What does that tell you about the state of everything in the United States? Now, from what I understand, his show is currently the most listened to podcast on Spotify. And Rogan recently signed, no, I guess it was May 2020, he signed a $100 million deal with Spotify, giving them exclusive distribution rights of his podcast. $100 million. Now, what does that say? I mean, Jesus, bleeding Christ, $100 million paid by a streaming service, a corporate entity. I don't know anything about Spotify. Nazis, anti-Semites, I don't know what they are, but they spend $100 million to allow this fascist fuck to continue to spread lies and distortion and bullshit? Man, that's really the American way, isn't it, huh? I'm old enough to remember that somebody like Joe Rogan would have been tarred, feathered, put up on a fucking rail and carried out of town and dumped in the suburbs someplace. Where do these scum come from? Where does a pig, an asshole like Joe Rogan come from? And why does a corporate entity like Spotify spend $100 million? Where does that money come from? Well, it comes from advertising, Mike. Advertising. This is a fucked up country. You know that, not the country itself, but the system that is prevalent in this country, the economic system, the advertising system. What constitutes popularity? Enough people listen to this jerk off and he's worth $100 million? That's up there in the dead Rush Limbaugh category, isn't it? Jesus Christ, I don't understand this. Can somebody... No, never mind. Never mind. Well, good on you, Neil Young. Although I doubt if Neil Young's distribution company or Neil Young himself is going to follow through. I have become enough of a cynic to, and I hate this because, I love Neil Young's music. Always have. I have for 50 years. 60? 50. But I doubt anything's going to happen. I seriously doubt that Neil Young is going to follow through. I don't know if he has the legal right to, frankly, to tell Spotify, you're not going to play my music. Oh, shit. It's just so insane. So insane. Why do people listen to this scum-sucking mental midget, Joe Rogan? Like I say, I've never heard him, but from what I have read about what this guy talks about, he has the intelligence of a fucking celery stalk and talks about shit that plays into this whole MAGA crowd nonsense. Is that true? I don't know. All right, that's enough. It just makes me so angry that a perfectly decent, or let me rephrase it, a country full of perfectly decent people has to deal with that segment of our population that is so fucking rancid. I mean, just rotten inside. People like Joe Rogan, people like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, who's dead, of course. He's still dead, as a matter of fact. People like Tucker Carlson, people like the Orange Vomit. I mean, just people who are so corrupted inside, so filled with poison and rot and self-loathing that they put this shit out there. And then the people who suck towards it, who accept it, who say, yeah, that's how I feel exactly. Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, I feel that way too. What do you say when you think that Tucker Carlson makes sense? Or Joe Rogan is worth listening to? Or Rush Limbaugh had a point? Or Sean Hannity has any fucking kind of a brain at all? What do you say about yourself if you're part of one of those groups? It's shocking. I mean, to me, it's shocking. I've said before, I'm not the brightest bulb in the marquee, but I have enough intelligence to be able to see this poisonous shit for what it is. And to understand that people, like I just said, suck towards it, like they're caught in some kind of a vortex that's just pulling them into these lies and deception. To what end, you fucking morons? I know they don't listen to this program. I'm just blowing off steam. But to what end? What is the point? Does it reinforce their self-loathing? The people who listen to these scum? Does it reinforce their self-doubt? I mean, were these people who were beaten by their parents or told they were no good or I don't know what turns people into scum who will believe this kind of shit? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.